Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. Welcome to Extra Crispy, man. For today's video, we got Austin Sweat, link to his channel in the description below, titled 10 NBA trade deadline moves that must happen this year, man. Bro, I love this time of year. This is like Christmas, man. Like every single year is like Christmas time, bro. Like I know we just had Christmas or holiday, whatever you want to say, man. But straight up, bro. Like NBA trade done last season. I love it. I love everything about it, man. So let's check this out, see what it's all about, and see what trade should happen. Let's get it.
The trade deadline's coming, so it's that time of year again that we look at the NBA trades that would take teams to the next level. And first up is Jeremy Grant.
Here we go.
And I'm really hoping he gets traded sometime this month and not stuck on the Pistons. And for that to happen, Detroit should want a young player or draft assets in return.
Bro, he ain't stuck on the Pistons, man. This is not a Blake Griffin situation. Like Jeremy Grant, chose to be in Detroit. He chose to sign, $20 million per season with the Pistons. He had the same contract offer with the Denver Nuggets. Fact of the matter is he wanted a larger role on the team. And, I can understand, wanting him to, like me as a Piston fan, I want him to be able to contend, 'cause I think he's that great of a player and really a person in general, too. But I don't think he's stuck in Detroit because he chose to be here. Unlike Blake Griffin, who was traded here, against his will, essentially.
So that gives us three teams. The first is the Cavs. They're currently playing Lauri Markkanen at small forward, and it's been successful, but it's still an awkward fit. So it would be much better to swap out Lauri with Jeremy while giving Detroit an
I think Lauri Markkanen, to be honest.
For the Cavs, it gives them a real small forward that can score and defend while being a great fit. And for Detroit, it gives them a young big man and a pick towards their future. It makes perfect sense to me, and it's solid offer on both ends. The Portland Trail.
I'd personally probably rather have Patrick Williams, though, or Kobe White. I know there's been talks of both those guys. Probably not together as a package, probably too much. But, Lauri Markkanen's fine, too. Also, Lauri's on the Cavs, not the Bulls. I'm telling you, man, it's a slow day for me, man. What am I even saying?
Offer is on a similar level, and they need a guy like Grant worse than almost any team in the league. And to get him, they'd have to trade Robert Covington, Anthony Simons, and a first-round.
So I'm not laughing at the trade. I'm laughing at my
someone bigger on defense and exponentially better on offense. While for the Pistons, they'd basically be getting back Simons and a future first. The Blazers have lacked in size and needed to make a trade.
Simons dropped 40 the other night. I'll take him.
And this could be their last real chance to do
I'll take him.
It might not even matter though, because the Grizzlies could come up with the best offer if they chose to do it. One that would make sense would be to send Kyle Anderson, Brandon Clark, possibly Zaire Williams in exchange for him. This would give
Say it again.
Sense would be to send Kyle Anderson,
Kyle Anderson. I don't really want Kyle Anderson. He's like 29 and the slowest dude in the NBA. Brandon Clark had a good rookie season. Zaire, don't really know what he's going to become yet, but I don't know if there's really room for him to develop on the Pistons. I'd rather honestly just do a 1-for-1 type of swap and just get a young player that can fit in, because I feel like too much depth of young players can sometimes be a bad thing.
Brandon Clark, possibly Zaire Williams in exchange for him. This would give Memphis a very defensive-heavy lineup with guys that could also excel.
I want Patrick Williams.
Having a young Dillon Brooks, Jeremy Grant,
that's who I want. That's who I want.
All on the floor at once would be a nightmare for most other teams' offenses. I think Memphis could definitely make the move to get him from Detroit, but seeing their success and the direction their team's headed, maybe they shouldn't even bother. Of course, Ben Simmons still needs to be traded, and at this point, I've come to the conclusion that if I'm any team in the league, I'm not trading for him. Because if he's willing to do this because Philly tried to trade him, imagine what he does to the next team that tries to trade him. It won't be pretty. But suppose it happens and someone falls for it. I could see another Jeremy Grant situation going on here. Trade Simmons for Grant and Kelly Olynyk. And
hey, here we go back to the Pistons. You know what? Okay, you know what? I will do this trade right now. Because despite everything surrounding Ben Simmons, he's still a 25-year-old all-star player. It still affects the game of basketball. And he's still signed up for a long time and everything like that. And, yeah, man, I would do this trade. Jeremy Grant only got 1 year after this. Kelly Olynyk has been nice, but I'd rather Ben Simmons. I would do this trade.
See how either team loses. Philly could play him as small forward since they don't need another starting point guard anymore. They'd get a good bench player in Kelly, and Detroit would get a 25-year-old star with potential.
Yeah, I like it.
To Detroit, though, the most obvious one that makes almost the most sense is the CJ McCollum for Ben Simmons trade. Already talked about this enough, though, in the past. But then there's the Hawks, who could use a little more defense in the backcourt. Imagine Trae Young and Ben Simmons playing the 1 and the 2, with Trae still being the primary ball handler.
Like polar opposites, but it works.
What we've seen with Lonzo and Zach LaVine. Ben and Trae would perfectly complement each other and make up for their weaknesses. And to get it done, they could send Cam Reddish, Onyeka, and Gallinari to Philly. I don't like the pairing of Danilo and Tobias Harris all that much, but Onyeka has some untapped potential, and I still think in time Cam Reddish can turn into a real star. He's good on both ends, and there's definitely room for him.
Not a bad little package.
And speaking of Cam Reddish, I really looked
into
finding other trades for him, and there didn't turn out to be too much unless Atlanta just wants to trade a first-round pick. Then that's something OKC should jump on right away. But it's okay because I really think Atlanta should hold on to him, or at least get a good quality player.
Wait, we're talking about Cam Reddish?
A trade like that just doesn't work out right now. Rumors have been surrounding Jaylen Brown getting traded for quite a bit now too, and like Cam, not many scenarios were realistic or were even worth the Boston Celtics into, but I did find one. Now Boston needs another near star and they need depth, something that the Memphis Grizzlies can give them in a trade involving Dillon Brooks, Kyle Anderson, and DeAnthony Melton. For Memphis, they give up some of their depth.
That ain't bad, like building around Jason Tatum, I suppose, but I ain't trading Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. I ain't doing it.
From Dillon Brooks,
not doing it.
Boston gets the opposite. I don't know that I'd do this if I was either team, but with all the rumors out there surrounding the Boston Celtics, I wanted to come up with at least one. As for Miles Turner, I didn't need many scenarios to find the perfect move for him because a trade to the Hornets makes perfect sense, which sends him there in return for PJ Washington, Mason Plumlee, and James Bouknight. James has upside, which is good for Indiana. PJ Washington just isn't the best fit for Charlotte right now, but ages the Pacers down for the future, and Plumlee's an okay temporary.
He'd be decent next to Sabonis.
This gives Charlotte Miles Turner.
If you think about it, because like Turner plays center, and Sabonis plays power forward, you probably want Sabonis playing center. But the way PJ Washington plays, he plays like power forward Miles Turner. It makes sense in my mind. A guy like the athleticism, 3-point shot, and the shot blocking capabilities. That's how I think about it, I guess. I don't know.
Much needed defense and size at the center position. He'd really round out the Hornets lineup and pair great with everyone. But since the Pacers are looking to start over and rebuild, let's find trades for Sabonis and Caris LeVert too, assuming they try to trade them as well. Also, I should mention that all these moves don't go together. I'm just independently finding good moves for each of their stars. And for Sabonis, I have two. The first is, I know, it's annoying. You don't want to hear a trade that sends another star to arguably the best team in the
Golden State Warriors.
But this one just worked out too good and it deserved at least a mention. Even though, don't get me wrong, I probably don't want to see it either, but Domantas Sabonis in exchange for James Wiseman, Moses Moody, Kevon Looney, and a first-round pick just makes.
That's a good trade. I don't think the Warriors. I mean, I said before the season started that the Warriors are my favorite to win the championship, but I don't think they're like untouchable. Like this isn't like Kevin Durant to the Warriors. Like this is just a good, solid trade for both sides, and I'm okay with that. It makes sense. Like the Warriors are giving up young pieces here to get them on the team. So especially in Wiseman. I'm cool with it.
The Pacers get a draft pick and two young stars that the Warriors
can basketball, baby.
While Golden State gets the best center they've had in years. He'd play well with their squad, can run the floor, score at the rim, pass the ball, and would be a major improvement.
Would be sick to watch. I ain't gonna lie.
Have now. Plus, the salaries match up great. While the other trade would be to the Celtics, who could desperately use a player like him because it would give them their third star. But the only deal that really lined up was Josh Richardson, Aaron Nesmith, Peyton Pritchard, and a future first-round pick. Great for Boston, not the best for Indiana.
Not great for the Pacers.
Caris LeVert, things were a little different. It's said that a lot of team execs are really wanting to trade for LeVert this year. One scenario since the Cavs in exchange for Cedi Osman, Isaac Okoro, and a first. Colin Sexton's injured now, so it gives Cleveland a healthy shooting guard that fits perfectly next to Darius Garland, and gives them more time to find a trade for Sexton while he recovers. While for the Pacers, Okoro was a top 5 pick in 2020 and still hasn't had a real chance to prove himself given the Cavs roster. So it'd be a great.
I like Okoro a lot,
and combine him with
a lot younger too.
First, and it's one that they really shouldn't turn down. Now, it wasn't a surprise that the Sacramento Kings have finally made De'Aaron Fox available in trade talks, which is probably something they should have done a couple of years ago.
Jeremy Grant.
Now they have 3 players that need to be traded.
And Killian Hayes.
I'm not even going to get into back things.
And I want Marvin Bagley.
Because I've talked about those already for a year or two now. But for Fox, there's not a ton of teams that need a point guard, and there's even fewer where a move actually would make sense. But here's what I came up with.
Detroit.
The trade to the Pelicans should probably happen to keep Zion Williamson happy if he ever returns. Okay. But if he does, they need to do something after their point guard disaster this offseason. The trade would pair Brandon Ingram up with another high-quality player, so it'd be good for New Orleans. And in return, the Kings would get Thomas Satoransky, Jonas Valanciunas, and 2 first-round picks, which could be huge knowing how high those picks could be. It may be a little too much to give up, and it would also be bad news for De'Aaron Fox, making him stuck on a bad team once again. To change that, though, maybe he gets traded.
Yeah, but there's some Showtime stuff going on there. You know, when Zion gets healthy, like Zion, De'Aaron Fox, and Ingram, that's a playoff team. I mean, the issue with the Pelicans is not they're a bad team. It's that the management and how Zion's been handling things has not been the greatest. I love that as a big three. Like, that would be pretty fun to watch.
The Boston Celtics instead. Marcus Smart has been in trade rumors for a while now, so maybe send him, Aaron Nesmith, and a first-round pick to the Kings. They didn't have their third sort of star they've been looking for, and Dennis Schroeder could be their sixth man.
See, I feel like
the Kings,
Fox got
still only 27 years
hella
old,
trade value.
They could keep him for a rebuild, or if they still wanted to move him, he'd probably be easier than De'Aaron to find a trade.
Like Jeremy and Killian.
Are tricky scenarios, and I don't know that they make the most sense for both teams, but without a doubt, something needs to happen with the Kings. Same with the Houston Rockets. They're in a really weird place right now with their team. They have players built to be in contenders, but the rest of the roster built for a complete rebuild. And one of them's John Wall. He may be a little injury prone, but in his first season back after 2 years,
he's impossible to trade because of that contract.
Well, averaged similar numbers to what he did before his injury. So there's three scenarios. Not really likely, but the Lakers could try to trade Russell Westbrook and future.
Hey, back to the Rockets, Russell.
It'd be pretty weird though to see these two get traded for each other again, and for Russ to wind up back in Houston, which makes this one pretty unlikely. But John Wall would be an okay fit with the Lakers, so I could see it. I could also see him getting traded for Kevin Love. Both men's contracts expire at the same time, and it would give Cleveland a high-quality player to fill in for Colin Sexton. And it would mean they wouldn't have a $30 million player coming off the...
Yeah, I think for that to happen, the Cavs would have to toss in maybe some sort of draft pick, some sort of protection to it. Just because, like, in their mindset, I guess the Cavs could... No, I'm sorry, the Houston Rockets had to toss in a young asset because, like, in their mindset, it's like, they don't really need Kevin Love either. Doesn't really help anything with them. So to me, it's just kind of like, you're better off just not playing John Wall than having Kevin Love be in that situation now, having him not play or whatnot. I don't know.
Bench. And of course, I say this as Kevin's in the middle of a hot streak over his last few games, but it's probably not sustainable. But if the Cavs want to make this move, it'd be a good one because the Cavs already have front court depth, and there's probably no other scenario in which...
Yeah, I don't like it for the Rockets, but not bad for the Cavs.
Then finally, for the Clippers, we have an actual trade that isn't just swapping two players. Rumor has it the Clippers have been interested in going all in for Wall, and they could do so by sending Eric Bledsoe, Ivica Zubac, and Luke Kennard. The idea's been thrown around a few times, and it's not bad. The Clippers shouldn't have to include any draft picks because they're giving the Rockets actual tradable assets. And as is, Houston will be lucky if they even get to trade John Wall at all before his contract's up in 2023. So this could work out for both teams. But if not Wall, Christian Wood would be 1,000 times easier to trade, and every team in the league should want a 17-10 center that can shoot threes and is only 26 years old. And one of
I kind of wanted a center like that, but he didn't want us.
What they would offer for
he didn't want us.
By sending James Bouknight, Kelly Oubre, and PJ Washington. It's gonna take a lot to get Wood away from Houston, and this may just be enough to do it. The salaries match up, and it gives them 3 young players with potential. Like I mentioned earlier, I think Miles Turner and his defense may be a better fit here, but if they can't get that done, this is definitely the second best.
And they showing all the Piston highlights for Christian Wood.
2 firsts in order to get Christian Wood. They'll be good draft picks too, and it'd benefit both teams.
2 first-round picks
at the same time, I also think it may be time for a complete rebuild for Sacramento.
Damn.
So this may not be the move. As for teams that may consider going all in, we have the Warriors again and the Bulls. The Bulls could trade Kobe White, Derrick Jones Jr., Elise Johnson, and Troy Brown for Wood, giving the Rockets 4 quality young players. This would be good, especially considering that they really wanted Derrick Jones Jr. in the offseason too. And it'd put the Bulls all in for this season, giving them a 5 of Lonzo.
Yeah, I guess because Christian Wood, he played power forward to start the season for the Rockets, and if I remember correctly, it wasn't working out greatly playing next to like Tice or whatever. And then they switched him to center, Christian Wood, and they started balling out, going on a winning streak. So I don't know if I love Christian Wood at the 4 spot, playing next to Vucevic. It might be a little bit too slow for my liking, as opposed to, maybe giving up like a Patrick Williams and a Kobe White for Jeremy Grant. Sorry. I'm sorry, man. I thought I win basketball games again. Man, damn, it's 2022. I haven't won shit in damn 2004, man. I thought I win games again.
We might not want to see it, but again, it just works out too good. Christian Wood for James Wiseman, Moses Moody, and a first. The Rockets get a top 3 pick who has untapped potential, and the Warriors get a near contract that they can play at center. Without a doubt, Wood's playing already 10 times better than however Wiseman is going to come out this year. And he's still young too, so it really just comes down to how good they believe James can be in the next 5 to 10 years. But that's a wrap.
Alright, yeah, that is the end of the video. I love trade videos like this. It's just fun, and, Austin does, like, a good job of just kind of coming up, not only with, like, talkative scenarios that people have talked about, but also his own, which I really like to see. So, that's all we got. Thank you all so much for watching, and peace out, my friends.